Well, hey, surprise. I don't know if it was surprise.
No,
I don't think it was surprise that I would be back. Good to see you guys. Hope and I were just talking because I've been gone for 6 weeks, but I actually kind of backed out of this a little bit before and let you guys handle it. So
yeah,
I think it's been at least 7 weeks or so since
maybe
I've been on Java and Jesus.
maybe like
Maybe
8.
8. So it's good to see you guys on this morning. Glad to be back. I got to tell you, after a month at either in the Bahamas or at Myrtle Beach, it's a little chilly here.
And it's supposed to snow today.
Yeah, we got a little bit of snow came through earlier, but
just imagine when Hiller and I got back, the surprise we get. Hey Vicky, good morning. Imagine our surprise when we get back from the cruise and you and Mom have already gone to North Carolina. Our first Sunday back, we get 10 inches of snow in the village. So yeah. I don't feel bad for you.
I was checking all that on the camera from Myrtle Beach, just so you know.
And you watched me shovel.
Yeah, I saw Hope does not shovel snow.
No.
I saw her that Sunday morning at 6:30 on our Ring doorbell camera
shoveling
snow, and I thought, man, that's pretty impressive. And then later that day, she went out and shoveled some more. But I did notice that she was shoveling it all up against my truck.
It melted when you got back.
She's like, I said, okay, I would have thrown it the other way, but I guess she was clearing out a spot for someone to park.
I shoveled.
You shoveled, yeah. So I'm excited to be back. I am rested and refreshed and have a not a new vision, but just a renewed vision for the church. And so excited about all that. What else? Gosh, let me see. This is my my Key West hoodie that I got here. And so it's funny. It's supposed to snow. It's supposed to snow some last night. They said we'd get about an inch last night, but we didn't. And then this morning it just kind of blew through and it kind of dropped some. And then by the time we got out to leave, the sun's shining and literally the bird was singing. Yeah. You know, we had. So I don't know what's gonna happen today. Jose, thanks. I saw Jose in Albuquerque.
Yeah. I heard that Jose said something like, he looks 20 years younger, you know.
And I have a full head of hair. No, wait, all right. Well, that part.
I'm like, if you look 20 years younger, 20 years ago, you didn't have hair. So.
Yeah, I still didn't have hair.
Yeah, so I'm like, he still would be bald.
I didn't cut it as close as I do these days. Yeah. But so gosh, so just you guys probably all know this because they probably talked about it and I did, but we started with the cruise. So that took up kind of 2 weeks if you figured a little bit of time before to get ready and then get back. Then we went to Myrtle Beach to visit your grandma and grandpa, Cynthia's parents, your mom's parents. They got back and then I turned around and went to Albuquerque for the weekend and then was at Inlow Camp at their lodge, which is really nice for the last couple of weeks. So I'm excited. This is my first Sunday back. And so Hope said, what are we going to talk about this morning? So I just wanted you guys will get a little bit of a preview into the message on Sunday. But before we get there, I've heard this twice. Heard it both this morning from your mom and from you that you guys wish it would hurry up and be spring already.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys, y'all can chime in. What is your favorite thing about spring? Chime in and you can think about yours too. You don't have to say it right now, but what's your favorite thing about spring? And it's kind of hard for me because I like the winter. Because I didn't have to shovel the 10 inches of snow that you did.
Yeah.
We didn't get as much snow as not even a typical year this year.
Well, I think it all happened after Christmas.
But even then, we're way below.
Yeah.
So if we don't get some good spring rains, it's going to be a scary fire season. So what's your favorite thing about spring? You guys chime in. Tell me. Let me know. some of them are going to mention, I'm sure, because this is everybody's favorite thing about spring, they're going to mention what happens this Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not.
Mhm.
What's your favorite thing about spring? Come on, are you guys with me? Are we still on?
I like it. I like spring because I can wear warmer clothes. Like
So you get to change clothes.
Yeah.
It's still the same color that you wear all year long, but just different.
Like I can wear shorts.
Shorts, okay.
Yeah.
I don't wear shorts just out of respect for everybody else. They always feel like they need to put their sunglasses on. The cold is gone. The birds are singing, flowers blooming.
Oh, I also like it that I can plant plants in spring.
Okay. And yeah, so Jose kind of hit what is my favorite thing. It just seems like, I don't know, what's a good way, like a renew, everything starts turning green.
Yeah.
And flowers, and you mentioned plants. Unfortunately, here we don't know for sure that spring has gotten here till Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of our traditions. I don't even know how long ago we started this, long time ago. So Mother's Day weekend, part of Cynthia's, only part of it because I do a lot, but part of Cynthia's Mother's Day is that we take her down, and she picks all of her plants and flowers and stuff, and then we plant them.
The real task is keeping them alive.
I know. Then you got to water them.
Yeah.
Last year we kind of cheated. I think almost everything we did was already in a pot. We didn't have to repot it. Although we've got some big ones that we put some stuff in. So that's what I like. It just seems new. I mean, you put all positive. It just, I don't know, just encouraging. What's a good? I can't figure a good way to put it. I like it, and it's. I don't have to make a fire in the morning, but it's not hot yet.
Right.
Of course, hot here is relative.
I remember one Easter we had snow.
Yep. But that's still before Mother's Day.
Yeah, but you just never know.
Our first Easter here, you can imagine, we came from Texas, from Fort Worth, and in Easter, Hope is 2, almost 3, and they put out the Easter eggs. Then it snowed about 4 inches, and so they had to go kick the snow around to find the Easter eggs. More changes, flowers, trees getting new leaves. Yeah, everything greens up really good. We have to get a little bit of rain for that to happen here, but yeah, just I don't know. And that's probably we have all the modern conveniences now. But imagine, back in the early days, when they didn't have power or anything, I guess the Little House on the Prairie days, how much even more spring for them would be, a joy, I guess. So love that. Usually, spring is when we celebrate Easter. That's not why. If you guys, I don't know if you ever knew this, the reason Easter kind of moves around a little is it's like it's the Sunday after the full moon, after there's some other celestial event that happens there. That's so Easter is when Jesus rose from the dead, and that's actually Christmas isn't really when Jesus was born. Jesus is probably born in our summertime-ish. We just celebrate in the winter. But Easter, we celebrate on Easter Sunday, which is the Sunday after, I think it's the Passover.
Yeah.
Well, Palm Sunday is when he entered. Yeah. So
speaking of spring and flourishing and new beginnings, what's your message about this week or on Sunday?
I thought you were going to run off on another trail.
No, I'm trying to
trying to get us back
Yeah.
before they all fall asleep.
Before I fall asleep.
So you guys get a little preview. My plan for my first message series coming back was going to be Reimagine, which is our theme for this year, and I kind of introduced that before I left. And having been gone for 6 weeks, I'm reminded of this again as I get into town. Cloudcroft has changed significantly in the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it sounds so weird if you're in a bigger place like Alamogordo or Albuquerque, but it's changed significantly. And one of the things that churches need to do is to be in tune, in touch with their community. Well, it's changed significantly in the last 3 years, and so we need to dig back into the community. I feel this, and I was talking with one of our village trustees yesterday who came in who agrees. There's so many. I feel this, but everybody may not feel that. So what the church needs to do is to stay in tune, in touch. What we're going to do this year is 3 things we have to do. Oh, how? We have had, and we've got to find out the demographics, but we've had a lot of new people move in, a lot for Cloudcroft. So maybe 200 or 300 new people move in. I see new people all the time that I don't know, and used to when that happened, because we're right here on Burrow Street. I'm in town all the time. Used to, if it's someone I didn't know, I would ask them where they're from, and they would say, "Oh, we're visiting from most of them Texas, wherever." But so much more in the last year, I've had people say, "Oh, we live here." I'm like, "Oh, how long?" Well, we moved here a couple of years ago. And I thought, how could you be here for 2 years and I not know? Mm-hmm. And they're not just here, but they're getting involved in the community. So with the new people here that are getting involved in the community, things are changing. Our village council has changed, our village government. We've got new people in there who are new in the community, and that's changed just the whole feel of it. Chamber of Commerce, and that doesn't mean much in many towns probably, but in ours that's big. One of the big wake-up calls for me was the way that we did our fall festival this year. Mm-hmm. Because I was chamber president for a while. I was on a chamber board for a while, and the chamber always did those events. And since we've got so many new people in the chamber, they don't do that anymore. Yeah. So this last year, almost all of the big things that we do has changed. Mm-hmm. In the community.
I think it'll take a couple of years to really
to figure out.
Yeah.
We're talking even like the Easter egg hunt this year has changed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the whole feel is different. So a lot of people new to the community, and that changes the community. They're getting involved in leadership, so that's changing. One of the big downsides of the change is crime in our area has gone up significantly. Mm-hmm. We used to not have to lock doors here, whether it was cars or a house, and now
we have to.
Yeah, there were some burglaries just last week.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know why that is. If it's the people that are here, or now that there are more people here, people are coming in to steal stuff. But it's gone up significantly in the last couple of years, but it started a few years ago.
Yeah, and just like it got the new Allsups, it's just,
and that's some other things. So
yeah, like just the businesses, like there's more businesses.
Yeah. So several years ago, we got the Family Dollar, and that was kind of a beginning of change. I know they had protests.
Yeah, they like picket signs.
But the Family Dollar years and years ago, I don't even know how long ago that was, but a while ago, that kind of started. We now have, instead of our niche hotels, and the Lodge is a historic hotel, so that's kind of a niche. The other hotels we have here are all unique rooms, so they're kind of niche hotels. But last year they opened a 50-room traditional hotel.
Yeah.
So now it's not a chain. It's not Holiday Inn or something. It's independently owned, but it's a traditional hotel. That's a change. They this built Bigfoot Museum. We still haven't
Yeah.
gone for that. We're
But
gonna go get ice cream there today.
But I feel like because because we have this hotel now, they're working on the Cloudcroft Hotel. We have big Allsops now. It's people are making room for Cloudcroft to grow even more than it is now.
Right. The Allsops was another huge thing. They tore down our old Allsops and built a big one. There's 18 pumps, I think now.
Like 16.
Crazy. Yeah. It's one of the Allsops marketplaces.
Right.
So that's really nice. All of that has accelerated that. Everything changed in COVID anyways. Everything had a different feel in COVID. Our schools, we used to know all of the kids and all of the teachers in the schools, but we don't now because, this is a generalization, but half of the school isn't from Cloudcroft.
Yeah. They
come from Alamogordo down in the basin, and half of the administration and teachers are the same.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, all of those, any of those things would cause a change, but all of those together has caused it. Just Cloudcroft has a whole different feel. And I know this sounds crazy. My cousin still lives in the Metroplex. My family still lives there. And it sounds crazy if you're not from here. But Cloudcroft, because of all of those things, Cloudcroft does not feel like, it doesn't have that small town feel anymore.
No.
Because you don't know everybody. We've got the same stuff that other people have, except Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
And so it's just it's really changed. So what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to kind of tie it back to church. I feel like because it was a smaller town, years and years ago, like we knew more people, we could connect with them, and we still connect, with the community, but we just have to, I feel like, try harder now that it's so big, and we just have to try harder to have connections with people.
So what we're going to do this year, in this year of reimagining, Dennis, you and Rachel would come and visit us, wouldn't you, if we had so I got to tell the story because this is so funny. Years ago, Cynthia and I were going to be in the Metroplex, and we thought, hey, let's see if Dennis and Rachel can meet us for dinner. And so contacted him, and Dennis and I really, even though he's more like a brother than a cousin to me. We grew up in the next city over. Anyhow, we reconnected, and so I said, hey, you guys want to meet with us, and where do you want to go? And I forgot who suggested On the Border, but Cynthia and I love to go to On the Border. And so we suggested that, and Dennis goes, that's mine and Rachel's favorite restaurant. And I said, well, what about the one right off of I-30 in Arlington? He goes, that's our favorite one. We would go to that every Thursday and have lunch together. So we get there and at On the Border, and theirs is a little bit different, but their favorite thing to order is the fajita nachos, and that's mine and your mom's favorite thing to order there. They get the chicken, we get the beef, but anyways, we need an On the Border. I'd settle for one of those in Alamogordo. We do have an Alamogordo. It's a Dutch Brothers. And what else are we getting? They said a Target.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, we don't hold our breath for stuff like that. But it's really changed. So the three things we have to do, and every church ought to do this periodically, at least every 5 years. We're going to have to dig in, and we'll do it through demographic. There's some studies that we can do, but also through surveys, find out who's here. So we have to do the demographics, find out who is here. Of those, however many new people, I'm guessing 200 to 300. Oh, it's already changed. We can't stop it. It's not the same Cloudcroft of 20 years ago. It's not the same Cloudcroft of 4 years ago either.
Yeah. What's funny too is like, I don't know if it was Hillary and I talking or you and I talking, but like years and years, like when I was in school, that makes me sound so old. You know, like Cloudcroft was known for more of it, but like a summer, you know what I mean? Like summer
Mhm.
home. So like we had all these cabins that weren't occupied, especially in the
A
winter.
lot of empty
A
houses.
lot of
Yeah.
empty houses, but now those houses are filling up, you know, and it's not, you know, like some cabins are still empty, but very fewer than it was years
Yes,
ago.
it's turned more into a year-round
Mhm.
village instead of primarily summer tourist.
Right. Even retirement, like you know, like there's young families, you know, living
And
here.
so, and here's what I suspect. So we have to find out who's here. I suspect that the largest demographic now in Cloudcroft is probably going to be millennials.
Mhm.
Um, and I suspect this because just overall, that's the way millennials is a larger generation than the boomers. The boomers are older now, and unfortunately, they're passing away. Dennis and I are Gen X, um, but so it's the largest is it's millennials, and then the Gen Z. Oh, sorry. But the oldest millennials, I was shocked to hear this, but you know, Dennis, we're not as young as we used to be. The oldest millennials now are 43.
Wow.
They're not all in their 30s like it was forever. The upper edge of millennials are 43, and so millennials, I suspect that's that way in the U.S. Millennials comprise the largest demographic. I assume, and I just anecdotally trying to think through of all the new people that I know that have come here, you know, in the last 4 years or so. Um, they're all in that kind of age group, 43 and 30s. In our church, we've gotten many more people that are millennials.
Mhm.
Uh, and so, but we have to find out who's here. You know, how many boomers do we have? You know, how many Gen Xers? I'm 57 now. Dennis and I are at the upper edge of the Gen X generation. We were kind of, in fact, they wanted to call our little group the Busters, the little segment that came right after the Boomers, but because we didn't have as many kids as the Boomers did. My parents had 4 kids, so we only had 2. And so find out who's here. That's the first thing we have to do, and we'll do that through. There's some surveys we can do to kind of help with that, but to see as best we can dig in. I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I think you can almost throw the 2020 census out.
Yeah.
Because that year they didn't do the census the way they normally do because they couldn't because COVID.
Well, I feel like part of just getting to know who's in the community is you have to be in the community. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, we have the Easter egg hunt coming up, you know, and we're going to help with that. And so I feel like that's a great way to just, and some of them might be visitor, you know, like, you know, it's not going to be everyone who lives in the village, but we'll get an idea, you know. So I feel like even like the July Jamboree, you know, just like it's not accurate, but it just gives an idea.
Yeah.
You know.
So who's here? The second thing we're gonna have to do is find out what are they like.
Mm-hmm.
So and some of that we can do just by learning about the different generations. There are some things that are specific for the Boomer generation. What's funny is they used to call the generation before them the builders.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're just the elders, and so if you're older than the Boomer generation, it's anybody else. They're the elders. They say because there aren't that many older than the Boomers. But there are things that are specific for the Boomer generation, things that are specific for the Gen X generation about how they think, how they process, what they do. I was reading, so we can study those. The millennials, the largest generation in our country, but there are what are they like, right? You know, what are some things? How do they process? How do they learn? Some things about them. And then the third thing we're going to have to dig into eventually is what is it going to take to reach them? You know what I mean? not just what their felt needs are. And felt needs are things that they think they need. For example, I mentioned this to someone a while back. When we're doing the surveys, we might say, what is one thing that you would, we have to find good ways to phrase these. But in other words, what's one thing that you would look for in a church? If you don't go to church, what's one thing that you would look for in a church? And if you're talking to a millennial mom who has a young kid, they might say a church that has childcare so I can sit and visit with other women and have coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a really specific thing. What we have to do is interpret that. That's her felt need. What her real need is, she has a need for community and friendship.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean we have to create a come and drop your kid off for childcare and drink coffee with other women ministry. But how do we reach them then? If there's that felt need for community and fellowship, then maybe, I suspect this for millennials, maybe small group for millennials is going to be more fellowship oriented or event oriented than Bible study oriented. Yeah. The church has to, not the message. So I know what you're saying, because Jose's a really steady guy. We have to adjust our methods. The message always stays the same. Jesus saves, only Jesus saves. But we have to, how do we get that message to them is what we have to say. So adjust our methods. Yeah. So we have to find out, how do we reach them? That's the third thing we have to do. Knowing who they are, how they process, what they do, how do we reach them? Anecdotally, what I've discovered over our time here, because we've been moving into small groups, is it's hard to get millennials in a small group. Gen Xers, we do that pretty easy, and I'm putting, I don't know, Jose may be in the weird the way it's communicated. Yes, yeah, we have to. How do we communicate the message to them? How do we get it to them that in a way that they can receive? But just anecdotally, we found that it's hard to get millennials connected in small groups. And it may be because we've been doing small groups the way that Gen X and older would connect with. You know what I mean? And so that the three things: who's here, what are they like, and what is it going to take to reach them? That's really our big thing for the year. But the message this Sunday, oh gosh, we've already gone 30 minutes. The message this Sunday, what I realized my last 2 weeks as I got to spend some time by myself thinking, praying, and re-engaging for church, is we have to, but before we do that, it would be helpful to start where we are with us.
Yeah. So
we have to start with us. So what we're going to do this next little series, and I'm going to introduce it this Sunday, is really, so the title of this little mini series is Start Here. And here's the idea behind it. No matter where you go, you have to start where you are. Right?
Yeah.
And so I want us to spend a little bit of time, and Easter's in there, just timing wise. I'll couple of messages, then Easter, and then we'll finish the series. Not to throw Easter in. Easter is big for us, but what we're going to do is to talk about who we are, what we value, what we who we are, what we value, what we do, and how do we do it. And so that's I'm going to kind of introduce that and really kind of dig into. So that's our mission. Well, first of all, our vision, who we are, our values, what do we value, our mission, what do we do, and then our strategy, how do we do it. So I want us to get a good handle on that, who we are first, to find out who they are.
Right.
Poor Hope's going to fall back asleep. So anyways, long introduction. Didn't realize we were going 30 minutes.
That's okay. It makes up for all the times that Paul and I are like.
Yeah, you guys 10 minutes or 15. Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging in with us. I'm excited. I'm so glad to be back. And if you watch on the live stream, I'll tell you about a little shift that I had as I went on sabbatical. and how that relates to where we're going to be going as we head into this. I had someone came in and said, we're a little bit worried about you coming back. And I thought she meant whether I would come back or not, because oddly enough, a lot of pastors come back from sabbatical and then get out of the ministry or leave the church. That's not going to happen with me. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, what changes are you going to make when you come back? I said, oh, well, you should worry about that. I mean, because we're going to have to reimagine church in this new world, this new Cloudcroft that we're in. In fact, today I'm gonna go to the new Allsops and look around again, just because I can't remember. We found out yesterday you can get a shake. I got an Oreo shake. You got a mint chocolate chip shake.
Yeah.
It's
like
a machine.
It's like it looks like a little pint of ice cream, and then you take the lid off, and then you put it in this machine, and like sucks it up, and then it makes it a milkshake, and you can like say how thick you want it, and then it just like brings it back down.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let me pray for you guys, send you out into your weekend, and hopefully be able to join us on Sunday, and then again on Monday. I forgot did we say we're gonna let you and Hillary do Mondays?
So yeah, me and Hillary Mondays, and then you'll jump back in with Jim and Paul, and if one of you guys can't do it, then Hillary and I will jump back in.
So a little different, but I won't see you on Monday, but I see you on Sunday. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for your love. God, I thank you for just the time of rest and refreshing and renewal that you've allowed me to have over the last 6 weeks. God, as we head into this year now, rediscovering who is in our community and what they're like and what it's going to take to reach them, we ask you to lead us and guide us. God, help us to have a firm handle on who we are, what our mission is, God, how it is that you've called us to do that, our basic strategy. And God, help us to, as we go through this year, give us eyes to see. I'm reminded of Jesus' words to the disciples, look, the fields are white for harvest. Pray that the Lord of the harvest send laborers into the fields. And so, God, help us to do that. Help us to see with those eyes the people who are around us, and help us to know, to find out and learn what it's going to take to reach them, and then change, God, the things that we need to change in order to do that, be effective. We thank you for your love. Thank you for the way that you take care of us, and pray that, Lord, you give us a resting, refreshing weekend. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Well, it's good to see you guys. Thanks for hopping on, and Hope knows how to do all that there. You can do this.